Welcome to Curriculum Development and Evaluation with emphasis on trainers' methodology 2. So this is our first lesson, so let's get started. For our Unit 1, we're going to tackle about establishing training needs requirements. So here are the contents. First one is Introduction to Competency-Based Curriculum. And second one is determining training requirements. And third is determining the learner's profile. Here are the learning objectives for the Unit 1, although we're going to have a separate session or discussions on the different contents for this Unit 1. So at the end of the unit, you should be able to identify and consult the stakeholders to establish training aims and requirements. Another one is to determine training requirements using appropriate methods. Next is identify, access, and confirm training regulations or other relevant specifications on which to base the learning program. Record and document potential employment markets and career opportunities for training participants. Next one is to identify potential learners, develop profiles of learners prior to entry to the course, and determine language and literacy requirements of the learners according to profile. So here are the objectives for the Unit 1. So lesson 1 is about the introduction to competency-based curriculum development. So since we are enrolled in this program, which is Bachelor of Technical Vocational Teacher Education, so we are aligned in the TESDA, no? Which is more on competency-based training, in that we are expected to develop curriculum that is about competency-based curriculum. So when we say competency-based curriculum, it is the set of specifications, just like what you have said on our previous discussions, on our previous sessions, that you have said that a curriculum is a specifications or a guide for a course or even a subject. So sometimes in the CBC or the competency-based curriculum, this is what we call modular in structure, which describes all the training experiences a trainee or a learner undergoes. So it generally includes learning outcomes. So here are the contents of our competency-based curriculum, wherein we are expected that as we go on in this course, we're going to develop a competency-based curriculum. So the contents are the learning outcomes, contents, conditions, methodologies, and assessment methods. So we're going to have a thorough discussion for each of these parameters or contents in the preparation of our curriculum development. It also specifies outcomes which are consistent with the requirements of the workplace as agreed through industry or community consultation. So we see through it that when we prepare competency-based curriculum, it must conform with the workplace or industry standards. So this might also include the community or stakeholders consultation. So when we say curriculum development, it is a process of translating the competency standards into specific training plans. So as mentioned in the previous definition, no? So the competency-based curriculum are the training plans based from the competency standards and actions towards the attainment of competencies of the qualification while ensuring the alignment of learning outcomes to industry practices and standards. So we give more emphasis, and the most significant factor in this competency-based curriculum is that the curriculum is aligned, such as the learning outcomes to the industry practices and standards. So that is the most salient point, for this competency-based curriculum. So this lesson will discuss the curriculum development cycle, the roles of the curriculum development stakeholders, and competency-based TVET framework. So here is the competency-based TVET framework. So for which we must have enough information or knowledge about this one, since we are aligned across these technical, vocational, education training. So competency-based TVET framework is a scheme introduced by the TESDA. So this is the sole government agency which is assigned to regulate or to oversee the conduct of the technical education skills development to help training providers design a curriculum which is based on industry requirements. So as you will see, we really give emphasis on the industry standards. So this framework describes the relationship of TVET training providers with the industry. So the industry defines the competencies and sets the minimum standards of each qualification level of every worker for it. So the standards are being formulated by the respective industry. Okay? So wherein these standards are the descriptions of the actual work and performance of every worker in a particular qualification. So lahat po yan ay nagsisimula, the formulation starts at the industry sectors for which they are the ones who are assigning the standards to be trained in the respective trainings for each of the qualifications. So the TVET training providers should design competency-based curriculum for registration with TESDA. Of course, so that you will be considered as a legitimate training provider, you should uh, be accredited with the TESDA. So the components of this competency-based curriculum consist of set of modules. So later on, we're going to have a deepen or thorough discussion. What do you mean by these sets of modules of instruction compiled together to form a course design? So the competency-based curriculum developed will then be the basis in developing the session plan and its corresponding learning material. So as you can see, we are already establishing the interrelation or the relationship of these important documents in the conduct of competency-based training. So it start with the industry and it will follow with the competency-based curriculum, and then that will be the basis from the competency-based curriculum or the CBC will be our reference in the preparation of session plan for TESDA or for CBT. No, we use session plan. So you can compare it to, for the basic education, the lesson plan or daily lesson logs. We also have it, and corresponding learning materials or instructional materials. So it is very important that we must have an idea about the Philippine Qualifications Framework or the PQF, which sets the standards, the levelings of the different qualifications in our country. So as you can see, we have levels 1 to level 8. Okay? So for basic education, which is the start of our education journey, the basic education which is being offered by the DepEd or the in charge is the DepEd, we have grade 10 is considered under the PQF is level 1. Okay? And for the senior high school, it is considered as level 2. So next one, after the basic education, since the grade 12 is already level 2, the next one is the technical education skills development, which in this part, the different technical vocational institutions are in charge and being regulated and overseen by the TESDAT, just like what I've said. So level 1, we have here NC1, level 2 is NC2, NC3 is level 3, NC4 is level 4, and we have this diploma, which is level 5. So in other words, as you can see in the framework, that grade 12 is having the same level in the PQF with those individuals who possess NC2 holders or NC holders. Okay? So meaning to say, under the TESDA or the Technical Education Skills Development, they cover levels 1 to level 5 for under the PQF. And next one is the higher education, which is being governed by the Commission on Higher Education, where we have the baccalaureate, which is after you finish, for example, after you graduate or you finish your program, BT Ed, so you are considered now as level 6 for the PQF. And afterwards, if you wish to have a post-baccalaureate or what we call masters or masteral programs, after you attain the degree, so you are considered as level 5. And if you have a doctorate degree or you are considered as doctor or doctoral degree, you are now considered as level 8 for our Philippine qualifications framework. So it is very important that we must have this guide in order for us to our future, that we must be able to know the different levelings and the frameworks for this Philippine qualification. So we now proceed with the stakeholders in the development of training curriculum. So this is not just only an effort of one individual, but this process involves several stakeholders or personalities or individuals in the development of the training curriculum. So when we say curriculum development, this plays a vital role in the implementation of the training program, wherein every aspect of curriculum development must be considered and designed well to serve its purpose. Take note that this will be one of the most important factors in order to have an effective and really efficient training. Okay? So on this lesson, you will be introduced to the different stakeholders of the technical vocational education and training. So there are numerous stakeholders of this TESDA. Okay? So these stakeholders are those individuals or even groups or organizations who influence TVET positively and negatively, wherein TESDA depends on these stakeholders to perform professionally and successfully. So the stakeholders also depend on TESDA. The management of stakeholders is one of the important activities in the curriculum development for the TVET sector. So TESDA should identify stakeholders and group them according to their interest, choice, and extent of stake. Some stakeholder may be significant in the competency standard development. There are some stakeholders that are important during the curriculum development, and some maybe during the implementation phase, and there are the rest maybe during the development of the assessment packages. So each of the stakeholders has its own functions or significance on the development of the training curriculum. So who are these stakeholders in the development of training curriculum? So first, we have the industry experts. Okay? So these are people from industry who can share their expertise for a certain qualification. So take note that the reference in the curriculum development is coming from the industry standard. That is why we need these industry experts to give us their ideas, share with us their expertise in their field of expertise or qualification. So their lifelong experience can be of great help in identifying the task and competencies that is covered in a certain qualification, which can be converted into training curriculum. So doon na po sila papasok. Okay? So these industry experts can be from supervisors, even workers, industry association representatives. So as you can see, if you already downloaded and secured your own copy of your assigned training regulation or the TR, on the last page of that particular document, you can see the different personalities, which includes the experts who help in the formulation of that training regulation for the specific qualification. Okay? Another stakeholder is the curriculum developers. So they work closely with trainers and industry experts to design and roll out a curriculum that provides learners with a high quality education. So take note, our goal really is to have a good quality education. That is why in the curriculum development, we must really ensure that the contents will really give us the good or high quality education. Lalo sa atin that we are expected to develop not just the knowledge, but also the skills and attitude of an individual. Okay? So additionally, curriculum developers are responsible for updating training documents on a consistent basis and working closely with industry experts to evaluate and revise training tools as appropriate. So there are some curricular revisions or reforms from time to time, especially we rely on the industry and the industry also relies on the technology. So once na may mga panibagong technologies na na-introduce in the industry, in the market, we also adapt and adjust to that. Okay? So that is another stakeholder, the curriculum developers. Next one are the trainers or teachers. So most probably tayo na ito, ano? So they provide inputs as to what and how they or how their learners will learn in a training institution. Okay. So in the development of curriculum, we must first identify the training aims. Why do we need to develop that curriculum? What is the purpose of that curriculum? Okay, what is the significance? So we need to identify training aims. So ano ba yung pinaka-goal natin after we craft that particular curriculum? What will be the target? So one of the early activities in the curriculum development is the identification of the training aims, wherein the stakeholders should identify the best statement of the training aims. So training aims are overall statements of what you expect the training program will achieve. So for example, the aim of this training program is to train trainers to plan, deliver, monitor, and evaluate competency-based training. So in your case, no, since you already have your chosen qualifications, you can already start to conceptualize your training aims in accordance with your assigned qualification. Training aims, objectives, and learning outcomes provide a clear indication of the goals and purpose of the training. So this will help us to achieve our goals and of course the purpose of that particular training. So trainers use them to focus the training and to assess performance and success of our participants, which is our main goal. The success of our participants, of our trainees, wherein after they attend your training, they must be fully satisfied, no? They fully satisfied the requirements based on the competency standards. Okay? So participants can use them to evaluate the training from their own perspective. So when we write aims, which is one of your preliminary activities in this course, since we are tawag mo nito, we are expected to write, develop a curriculum, you must do it in a straightforward, keep your language clear, and try not to have too many little aims. So for the curriculum development cycle, it has three stages, namely curriculum design, curriculum implementation, and curriculum validation stage. So later on, we're going to have a discussion about this cycle. So speaking of the curriculum development cycle, since we have introduced three processes involved in this one, first one is the curriculum design. So in this particular phase, this involves the identification of the learning process and events intended to achieve the competencies. So take note, one of our goals is for us to develop competent learners or trainees after they attend the particular session or training. So learning objectives, content, strategies, and methods, modules of training, methods of assessment, and training resources are carefully planned during the process. So later on, we're going to experience this particular phase in our development or curriculum development. So after which is the curriculum implementation. So after you design, you crafted the curriculum, this is second phase refers to putting into action. So we need to test, no? So the various components stipulated in the competency-based curriculum CBC, or the competency-based training is planned and facilitated by certified trainers based on the CBC. So ibig sabihin, i-test na natin to. Okay? So i-implement in a particular class or in a particular institution. And the third one is the curriculum validation. This involves evaluation of the curriculum using the following: content validation by a panel of experts, analysis of the results of learning through pre-test and post-test analysis, and program evaluation, analysis using the content input process product or CIPP, and method of research. Okay, so that we can see whether there are some uh, factors or there are some concerns about the curriculum which is ano tawag mo nito, pwedeng i-improve so that we can have a more effective training in the next days or sessions. So for your reflection, number one, kindly answer the following questions. Thank you for listening. I hope you have learned something in my presentation. See you next time. Keep safe to all.